We're all here and we're ready to begin. My name is Catherine Webster O'Keefe. I'm the moderator of this session. I am the club president for the New Milford, Connecticut Rotary Club right now. And you are in, not conflict resolution, you are in a session called, This Is Not Your Grandfather's Rotary. What we're going to talk about, as Laura said, is public image. While people may recognize the name Rotary, a lot of people really just don't know what Rotary clubs do or what Rotary Club stands for today. And that's why Rotary created the global marketing campaign called People of Action. So tonight, Laura is going to talk to us about that People of Action, the underlying branding concepts, public imaging resources we can use, and walk us through some of the tools on the Rotary website. Our speaker tonight is Laura Spear, and she is a senior executive with more than 30 years of experience in marketing and communications, primarily for high-tech companies, which heaven knows all of us could use that information. And Laura has a whole line of Rotary things that she's done that you can read about in your brochure. She is the past president and a charter member of the Rotary Club of Neshoba Valley. Am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. And just as a final, she's got an MBA degree from Boston, and she hails to us from Stowe, Massachusetts. Before I turn the meeting over to Laura, just a couple housekeeping matters. If you weren't here for the last session, just know that this session is being recorded. So if you would like not to be recorded, please go down to the bottom of your screen on the left and just turn off your video recording screen. The chat feature right now is off. And everybody will be muted because chats and talking are kind of disruptive during a presentation. We will have the opportunity to ask questions when Laura's done and ready for us to do that. Then the chat feature will come back on and we'll be taking questions in that way. So Laura, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thanks for being with us tonight, and we're excited to hear what you have to tell us.
Thank you so much. I have to say, I'm very honored to be invited to be here, and it's great to see so many familiar faces and names. I know a lot of you from past Rotary experiences. I'm from Central Massachusetts. I do have a lake house in Wareham, Mass, and my desire is to retire to Providence. So I am hopeful that someday I'll be one of your district members. We shall see. But it's great to be here. Thank you. All right, I'm going to share. Good. There we go. Let's get this up. Okay, so this is not your grandfather's Rotary. And it's very interesting. Shortly before I started to join this presentation tonight, I was talking with my new boss. And he said, so you're doing Rotary. What's Rotary? I mean, I know I've seen signs on the roads, but I really don't know what it is. And isn't it like an old organization? It's been around like 100 years, right? And I said, yes. And that's what I'm going to be talking about tonight. So this is not that old Rotary that our grandfathers might know, but it's a new and improved, building upon that heritage. So how do we get that message across so that people really understand what Rotary stands for and why should we care? If I have a boss asking me this question and he's a chief marketing officer and he's very influential in high tech, I would hope he would understand what Rotary is, as well as my fellow citizens in Little Stowe, Massachusetts. So this is exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight. I'm going to walk through a couple slides, and more importantly, I think live demos of how you can make it happen in your own club and district will be much more helpful. So let me give you some background first. All right, back in 2011, Rotary conducted this worldwide survey just to get an awareness. And that's the one thing I love about Rotary International. It is so data driven. It's not, oh, I like this, or I don't like this, or it feels right, or it doesn't feel right. They actually use data to make decisions. And back in 2011, they conducted a survey around the globe that consisted of Rotarians, non-Rotarians, political leaders, business leaders, average citizens, and said, okay, what do you know about Rotary? And back in 2011, only about 60% even thought the name Rotary was somewhat familiar. 40% had never heard of it. So that's when Rotary International said, we have to do a marketing branding. We really need to take a look at what we stand for and how we present ourselves to the public and really freshen it so that people understand who we are. So let's focus on kind of freshening. Let's start with our personality traits, our messaging, the promises and the value that we want to offer to the public, and then how do we put what's called an identity system around that to support it. So that's when Rotary introduced the quote, new branding. So that was back in 2012 when they launched it. We're talking 9 years ago. That included logos and colors and typography and imagery and all of that other good stuff that goes into branding. So fast forward to 2015, let's see how we did. Did another similar study. Went around the world, surveyed all kinds of people, Rotarians, non-Rotarians. It went up to 75%. So huge jump in awareness from 60 to 75%. Great news, right? Well, they might have heard of it, but the understanding was really minimal. Only about a third of the people who actually heard of Rotary understood what Rotary stood for. And worse yet, 60% of the people who were surveyed had no idea if there was a local Rotary club in their community. So we know what Rotary stands for. It's all about service and fellowship and friendship and connections and leadership and integrity and networking. And we know that it's a wonderful organization. But for people who are not in Rotary, the perceptions were a little different. Yes, some people recognized it as a service organization, but unfortunately, there were a lot of misperceptions. Thoughts like, it's an organization for people who are not like me. It's for people who are of a different professional level or a different educational level. It's an exclusive club. It's a club for older men. And worse yet, it's a lunch club, not a service club. So we need to change that so that people understand what the right perceptions of Rotary should be. And the reason why is once you get to awareness, you can then build upon understanding. And so if anyone has ever been in marketing or sales, they understand something called the pipeline or the funnel. And so you have a lot of people who might be aware and you want to move them forward so that they understand that. And the reason why is once they understand that, then they become more committed. They get interested and engaged, and then they become advocates for your organization. And that means things like membership and better community support and greater involvement. So how do we get there? We have to build upon our Rotary brand. So a lot of people don't know what a brand is. Think about what comes to mind when you hear the word McDonald's, those golden arches, the consistent food, and it really got its claim to fame because of its clean bathrooms and inexpensive food. Think about other perceptions when you hear IBM or Prudential, Nike. You certainly get an image. When people hear Rotary, they don't necessarily have a common image. If we can use consistent branding to create that common image, we have more people who understand and know what we do. And that helps us in a variety of ways. It can increase the number of members that we have. It can attract new members. It can enhance the engagement that we have from our current members. It allows us to do much more in our communities and around the world. And if people know who we are, it's a lot easier to get sponsorships for our activities and increasing our fundraising that we do so we can make a bigger difference. So where do we start? It sounds like it's a lot of work and it's got to be pretty hard. Well, Rotary International invested years ago and continues to invest in something called Brand Center. This is the single source of truth for you to get the look and feel, the materials, the guidelines, the assets that you can use to tell your story at the club level and at the district level. And we're going to take a look at that in a little bit. The first place to go is my personal Bible for Rotary, Voice and Visual Identity Guidelines. The most recent document was updated in March 2020. You can download it. It used to be printed in hard copy, but then it was so big and they updated it so often that now it's only available online. But let me tell you, I'm going to give you a sneak preview of it. It's got everything in there. Anything you want to know. What is branding? Why is it important? What is the messaging we should be using? And then what do we use for that identity system? What logos and how do we use them? What colors? What fonts? What about photographs and icons and other imagery? How do we talk about ourselves? What voice do we use? And what is the messaging? And then they give you examples of how to apply it. So this is the first place to go. And as I said, we're going to walk through that. Additionally, everyone should be using this type of logo. It's called a master brand, but it's got the word Rotary with the yellow wheel next to it. The reason why is way back when they did that 2011 survey, people just saw the two-tone yellow gold wheel. They didn't know what it was. Oh, bicycle shop? Transportation business? Some kind of cog? They had no idea what it stood for, even though it had the word Rotary embedded at the top of it. So that's why the word Rotary goes with the wheel. You never use the big yellow wheel by itself. You always make sure that you have that word Rotary with the wheel. And you can customize it. You can customize it for your club, for your districts, and even for programs that you're rolling out. They call it a lockup, and I'll show you that in a minute too. If you can see, the Rotary Foundation uses the same similar look and feel. And if you go to Interact and Rotaract logos, guess what? They look consistent as well. So this is what we all should be using. Now, there's the carrot and then there's the stick. So I am encouraging you, if you don't have this already, to use the carrot and go off and do it because it's the right thing to do. The stick is that Rotary International's board has agreed to cut off all clubs, promotions, materials by a certain time frame if the club or district continues to use the older versions. Now, the best news is they're starting at the district level, and all but a handful of districts have already migrated to this, quote, new look and feel. Remember, it's 9 years old. I wouldn't call it new. So I do encourage, if your clubs do not have this look and feel, at least at the logo level, please work with them. It's pretty easy to do. And again, I'm going to walk you through it. It's very straightforward. So everybody's motivated, I hope. Get that logo going. In addition to Brand Center, Rotary International has invested a lot in the Learning Center. Now, both Brand Center and Learning Center are available for My Rotary. That means you have to go to rotary.org, log in with your username and password, click on My Rotary, And you're going to see all kinds of menus at the top. Under Manage, you can find Brand Center. You can also find a tab for the Learning Center. And there's been a lot of investment over the past year or so on branding and public image. So again, for those people who may not understand what a brand is, this is like a 15-minute overview. Very quick and easy to do. So I do encourage you to go to the Brand Center and see what's there. Now, you heard Catherine mention people of action. So let's go back to 2015. You have this awareness, but you have a lack of understanding. People quite aren't sure what Rotary stands for. It's familiar. It's like my boss who's seen those street signs, but really doesn't have an idea of what those street signs mean. The Rotary International did a lot of research, surveyed a lot of clubs, a lot of leaders across RI, and came up with this program called People of Action. So basically, this is our party line. This is our message. When people say, what do you stand for? What's Rotary? It really builds upon that 2011 tripod, if you will, of join leaders, exchange ideas, and take action. So People of Action builds upon that and says, yeah, we are neighbors, friends, problem solvers, business professionals, etc. We get together and we share ideas to figure out how we can solve problems, either in our community or around the world. And we take the action, whether by ourselves or with our partners, to create lasting change around the world. Kind of cool. Very simple. We just want to show all of us in action, not holding checks or handing them off, not standing in a line saying, look at us, but really showing that we do things. We are doers. And so I encourage you all to look into People of Action for your own club. So what is it? It's really how we talk about ourselves. It answers, well, what is Rotary and who are you and what do you do? You can really define the activities that we do, the impact we make, and then how that makes a difference in our communities versus other community service organizations. And what we're finding more and more, it's not us versus, it's us with other community service organizations. We get people together, we gather them, we partner them with them so that our impact is even greater. How does that benefit your club? Well, first of all, everybody's saying the same thing. I don't know about you, but a few years ago, we were trying to do a messaging contest, if you will, in our club. Like, what does Rotary stand for? And everybody came up with a different message. Well, if you hear something different from every person, it's not going to stick. So this really helps your club. And by the way, your club and the club next to you and the club next to it and the district and then the zone and then internationally, we're all saying the same thing. And that's going to increase the awareness and understanding around the world. So you need to focus on what that message should be. Talk about the need that you addressed and the actions that you took. Who benefits from it? Are you partnering with someone? And what was the bottom line impact? And you can frame these little stories. It doesn't take a lot, and create them for your social media, for your website, for press releases, for flyers and handouts, the service projects that you do. You can say, look, what else we do? This is really, really impactful beyond just, oh, we did a pancake breakfast or, oh, we did a food packaging. If you're showing the full scope, it really makes a difference. And again, it works across platforms. Think about it. You can put it in press releases, your website, your club brochure, and everybody has a club brochure, right? It's easy to create one using the Brand Center. I'll show you how. And then if you want to do more than that, you can go into print ads. I know we use a People of Action ad for sponsoring certain cultural aspects at the high school. So they have music concerts, and they have choral concerts, and they have drama productions. We place a People of Action ad every single one of those programs. So that's how we use print ads, for example. We also place one in our local newspaper around the holiday time where they recognize all of these nonprofit organizations in the community. And then going beyond that, think about what you could do for TV and radio. I see Dave Clifton in the audience. He can certainly provide some additional background on that. So think about your local TV station, your cable's TV. We have radio spots that feature People of Action from Rotary International, and you can customize them for your own club. Very easy to use. So People of Action is more than just a one-time thing. Use it across all of your communications channels. And again, you've got a lot of resources all in Brand Center. You can find campaign guidelines and examples, and you can create your own customized materials as well. So here are some examples that you can find at Brand Center. And I mentioned customizable, so we'll get there in just a second. So here we are, the second. Let me demo this. So I think the biggest challenge, to be honest, is how you get into Brand Center. So you can go to rotary.org and then click on My Rotary and then go into Manage and click on Brand Center. Or you can say brandcenter.rotary.org. Now it's still going to prompt me. And it takes a little while. Oh, because I had just been in there. So you have to enter your username and password, and this is what you see. And so you see at the top a little information about branding, why it matters, guidelines, logos, materials, ads, images, and video. Or you can go down to these tiles, and that's what I typically do. So let me start, as I said, I always start with the voice and visual guidelines. And what happens is it filters. Now here's one of those little gotchas. You can filter on different languages. The default is English. The problem is every time you look for English, it also includes Chinese. Don't ask why, I have no idea, but that's what you get by default. So you see English at the top, but you're also going to find Chinese resources here. So then you can see all kinds of stuff. But if you scroll down, voice and visual identity guidelines right there, that is the secret. Click on download. Yes, I accept the terms. And it's going to go download into my hard disk to the download drive. So let me just pull that up. All righty. And I'm just going to show you, it's huge. It's lots of pages long. We don't want to see all of this. So let me go here and pop it up a little bit. But I wanted to walk through this just a little bit so you can see what kind of information it has. So it talks about what Rotary is, what our personality and voice are. Come on. And it's frozen. There we go. It talks about logos and so on and so on and so on. Remember I mentioned lockup? So if you have a specific program, you can actually go online into Brand Center and create your own version. And the way it handles it is you have the Rotary on one side and the program on the other side. So this is how they're handling RILA. I know our district is doing a Rotary Means Business program, if you will, kind of an exchange at the district level. This is where how you would use it. Don't create something new. We want to be consistent. I mentioned Rotaract has a similar look and feel. Interact, the same thing. Tells you what not to do. But this is my favorite page. So let me pop this up because I print this page out and I keep it right by my computer. Blue is not blue is not blue. There are different variations of blue. You can think of big blue IBM. It looks a lot different from these blues, for example, but it includes the different color mixes, if you will. So if you are in the business, you know what Pantone is. And if you're working with a professional designer, CMYK is a 4-color processing number. But for everyday digital use like I do, for creating flyers or updating materials for our website, it's RGB. Every Microsoft application, for example, supports RGB. And you can see the RGB. I'm going to pop it even more. Right there we go. R0, G93, B170. That's how everybody gets the exact same color of the Rotary Leadership Azure Blue. And all of these others are kind of like secondary. Don't make all of your colors gold. The gold is for a pop. It's for emphasis. Really stick with those blues. But if you need a little accent, you have a choice. You've got all of these other colors that you can use as well. Another thing, a lot of people like to be creative. They want to use fancy different fonts or typefaces. I know we got to be consistent because what we're trying to do is use all of these elements to support our positioning, our messaging, our values, our brand promise. So if you want to spend money, you can buy Frutiger and Sentinel. I don't. So I typically use the free versions. So my default is Arial Narrow as the primary font and Georgia as a secondary. Easy enough. You tend to find them with every application. Very simple. Then they talk about imagery. What types of photos should we have? How do we show that we're people of action? Messaging. PIN doesn't change. Doesn't change. A lot of people ask, doesn't change. But then they give you examples of how to apply it for different situations. And when in doubt, you need to go through an approved merchandise vendor. And for us, or like 99% of us, it's Russell Hampton. So you can actually work through them. But we really are supposed to go through these authorized vendors who have been approved, who have been trained, understand how to use this branding system. Okay, enough of that. Let's go back. Okay, so if you start there, what about those logos I had mentioned? So I'm going to go, you can either go to the home page or you can go to the top. So I'm going to do Rotary logos. So you have, whoops, it took me back anyway. Let's try this. Okay, so you have templates or you can use the ones by default. Before I even jump there, look, they have something called theme logos. This is one thing that I think everyone should be aware of. This changes every year based on who the RI president is. Uh-oh, come back. As I said, it's sometimes a little temperamental. Let's see if I can go back. Okay, let's just try one more time. So this year, the presidential theme is about opening doors. Next year's theme changes. It doesn't like it, so I'm just going to kind of ignore that for now. Please realize these are for internal Rotary communications only. I know my own website for my own club uses it as well, but they change year after year, and it's supposed to motivate Rotarians, not be an external communications device. All right, I know a lot of people are saying, well, and what happens is people will use a presidential theme logo and then don't change it the following year. Or I didn't like that one, I liked the one from 3 years ago. Well, that confuses the public because it changes all the time. We really want to focus on the word Rotary with the yellow wheel. If you do use the theme logos, please realize you also have to use Rotary with a yellow wheel someplace on that same asset. You can't just have the doors. You got to have Rotary with the wheel at the same time. So what if I wanted to create my own? And I actually looked across the district and found a couple of interesting examples that we could create. So here it is, template, create, and I'm going to pick on the first one. You can see over here on the right-hand side, I am going to say the North Attleboro Plainville Rotary Club. It's one of the longest club names, and it doesn't look consistent with that. So how do we do this? So what I'm going to do is say above the logo and below. So how are we going to do that? All right, so location. And I apologize in advance for any typos. North, whoops, I told you. Let's get rid of the local, come on. Okay, let's try that again. North, Attleboro, Plainville. And then club. So you can see North Attleboro, Plainville, then it says Rotary, then it says club. So you can save this. Look at that. Isn't it a beautiful thing? You can save that and it'll keep it for a few, like 30 days in your own private library. So I'm going to say logo, NAP, just so I know that it's there. And again, I got to get my typos. Okay. Then I'm going to say download. But wait a minute, I wanted a JPEG. So if you look on the left, it says you got to refresh your browser. That means up here, see this little circle with the arrow? You click on it. There it is. What happens is it's processing in the background. So it takes a little bit of time. PDF is easy, but JPEG and PNG takes a little longer. So I'll click on download, move this out of the way, I acknowledge, and download. And it's going down into my download folder. And now I can use it just like I can use any other JPEG, for example. Yay! So you at the district level, if you find that there are clubs who are not using the correct look and feel, you can see how easy it is to create one for them. So just saying, it may be something that maybe the district public image chairs can do for all the clubs that need to be compliant. Okay? All righty, we're running out of time. So let me just quickly go through some of the other resources that are here. I talked about people of action. Click on this tile, learn more. Now here's the interesting thing. It brings up more than just people of action, but that's where we want to go. We're going to create our own. Again, they're trying to tempt you to follow all the compliance. You're going to see the logo, you're going to see the brochure, you're going to see some promotional cards, but let's ignore those. Let's focus on people of action. So I talked about the print ad. If you're going to do a picture or put something on Facebook, you can use this people of action Facebook post. If you want to do a banner like at the top of your social media, you would use one of these banner templates. But let's just say people of action Facebook post. All right, let's create one. All right, tricky time. By default, simple. You can just print this and you can use it. But I really want to do something specifically for my club. So we did a food drive a few weeks ago where we collected 2 tons of food. So I'm going to say fight hunger. And all of a sudden, there are pictures that change by default. But I want to feature my club. want to feature pictures that people might know in our community. So click over here on the right where it says custom, and then you see this fuzzy little gray thing here in the middle. Click on that. That's going to bring up your personal photo library. But I don't want any of these pictures. I want to upload. So down at the left corner, you're going to see a little plus sign, and it's going to prompt me to upload a file. And I happen to have one in my Dropbox. And let's see, where'd you go? Here we go. Demo. And I'm going to upload it. Now here's another one of those tricky things. It puts it in alphabetical order. Now these pictures, for some reason, are only supposed to last for 30 days. Mine have lasted for several years. I have no idea, I guess I'm special. But the pictures are then uploaded and I'm like, wait a minute, it's alphabetical order. I need to keep clicking until I get to that PI. There we go. Multi-district conference demo. And there we go. Together we fight hunger. You can see one of our members with one of the police chiefs stuffing a cruiser. So I'm going to save it, give it a name. I'll call it People of Action Stuff. Okay. And again, there we go. Back to this page again. You got to just keep going in that left corner and click because it's processing behind the scenes. So you can see the PDF is really quick to create, but I really want a JPEG. I really do, and it takes a little bit longer. So you just keep clicking and you try not to be so impatient. So I hope this helps. I know we're running out of time. If you want to see examples of how we use this, you can look at our club website and Facebook page. It's Neshoba Valley Rotary, so neshobarotary.org, or the Facebook is Rotary Club of Neshoba Valley, and you can see examples of what we have done. So I hope this is helpful. I'm sorry we ran out of time. And if you have any questions, let's see if I can go back to this because we're going to be leaving shortly. Here I am. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer any of your questions as a follow-up. Catherine, I did my best. Try to fit it all in.
Thank you